Welcome to the product training module for the Zoetis Witness Canine Heartworm Antigen Test Kit. This learning module will help prepare you to successfully sell the third-generation Witness Heartworm test to your customers. The launch of the third-generation Witness Heartworm test is important for several reasons. It offers your customers improvements over the prior version, the enhanced Witness HW test. Because of the development work and testing that went into creating this third-generation test, you and your customers can have even greater confidence in the results it provides to assist in managing the pets for which they provide care. It is also the first product in the Witness family line to carry the new packaging design and branding. The third-generation Witness Heartworm test continues in the Zoetis tradition of providing diagnostic tools for veterinarians that provide accurate results, are simple to use, and are affordable options for point-of-care testing in the clinic. This third-generation test is part of the ongoing Zoetis commitment to enhance its offerings and has demonstrated improved performance and increased accuracy across multiple populations. After viewing this training module, you will be able to understand why changes were made from the prior generation test and be able to answer questions from your customers. Understand the supporting data for the third generation test and why you and your customers can have confidence in the results it provides. Understand the advantages of Witness over the primary competition, the IDEXX SNAP technology, and be able to effectively sell the Witness Heartworm test over the competition. The first question you and your customers may ask is, why change? This section of the module will provide you with background information on why we are launching the third-generation Witness Heartworm test into the market. As mentioned earlier, Zoetis is committed to developing diagnostic tools for veterinarians that are more accurate, easier to use, and affordable, thereby enabling veterinarians to provide better care for their patients. The work that went into the enhanced Witness HW test was focused on improving sensitivity. However, after the test was launched, Zoetis began receiving reports from the field of a higher than normal incidence of positive results with the second generation test. Initially, this was thought to be the result of detecting samples with lower antigen levels indicative of lower worm burden, earlier detection of younger worms, or detection of worms longer after worm death. It is important to note that any highly sensitive test is more likely to be affected by small factors that impact performance. This is true in human as well as veterinary diagnostics. In many cases, these factors do not show themselves until these tests are used on larger and more diverse populations than are typically utilized in test development. After receiving the reports of a higher incidence of positive results from the field, investigation by Zoetis determined that, in fact, low worm burden was not the primary root cause. After a detailed analysis, Zoetis identified that the blood of some dogs contained a substance that caused false positive results. The identity of that substance is proprietary information and thus confidential. Of course, as it always has, Zoetis offered concerned customers confirmatory testing at no charge with DiroCheck, considered a reference laboratory standard. After a detailed analysis, Zoetis integrated a test modification by adding a blocking agent to counteract any interfering substances that caused false positive results. So the logical question you or your customers that may have experienced or heard about the problem may ask would be, is the problem really fixed? Yes. The third-generation Witness Heartworm test has been thoroughly tested for consistency and accuracy. A comprehensive set of studies confirmed the performance of the third-generation Witness test. In fact, it has probably been more thoroughly investigated than many, if not all, other heartworm tests on the market. Zoetis went to particular lengths to ensure it demonstrated solid performance across different populations of canines, across different clinics in different parts of the country, and therefore against a more diverse canine population than probably any of the competition's tests. But Zoetis went even further to ensure the accuracy of the new test. It was tested on samples that produced discrepant positive results with the second generation test. It was tested on samples compared to DiroCheck, a leading reference laboratory test. It was tested on samples compared to the primary point-of-care competition, the IDEXX SNAP 4DX test. And it was tested on samples compared to necropsy, which is considered the gold standard for definitively determining infection with Dirofilaria immitis, the pathogen responsible for heartworm. All those testing results will be shared coming up and also have been incorporated in the sales collateral you will be using with your customers. From what we just covered in this last section, you should have a pretty good understanding of what led to the development of the third-generation witness heartworm test and the care that Zoetis took in developing it for your customers. However, if your customers want a more detailed discussion or more technical answers on the matter, you can get that in two different ways. You can put them in touch with Dr. Matthew Krasik, who is the Senior Technical Services Manager for U.S. Diagnostics for Zoetis, and whose contact information is listed here. Or they can call or email Zoetis VMIPS, the Veterinary Medical Information and Product Support Team. In this section, we will be reviewing the different test platforms used by competitors in the point-of-care testing market and the advantages of rapid immunomigration, also known as RIM, over the ELISA, which is an acronym for Enzyme-Linked Immunosorbent Assay, the platform used by our primary point-of-care competition, the IDEXX SNAP tests. There are two primary platforms used in point-of-care testing. RIM, which is short for Rapid Immunomigration, which is also sometimes called Immunochromatographic or Lateral Flow, and ELISA, which stands for Enzyme-Linked Immunosorbent Assay. You can see from this slide that several of our other competitors use a form of immunochromatographic testing, but the specific RIM technology platform is unique to witness tests, including the third-generation witness heartworm. Meanwhile, IDEXX SNAP uses ELISA, the same platform as the Zoetis DiroCheck reference laboratory test. It is important to note that both technologies provide similar results in terms of accuracy, sensitivity, and specificity. But the methodology to perform the tests are very different and make RIM technology more suitable to the point-of-care market. Witness heartworm tests that use RIM technology are much simpler to store and for technicians to perform than the IDEXX SNAP test using ELISA technology. While some of the IDEXX SNAP tests do not have to be refrigerated at all times, some do require refrigeration to maintain shelf life. The Zoetis Witness Heartworm test requires no refrigeration at any time to maintain its full labeled shelf life. Plus, it is easier to perform, requiring no sample preparation, no mixing, no waiting or time-dependent snapping. Another advantage is that it provides definitive results for interpretation. One line indicates a negative result and two lines indicate a positive result. IDEXX SNAP results may not be as easy for the technician to read. All these extra steps and requirements for IDEXX SNAP add up. This slide illustrates the number of steps required for the IDEXX SNAP test. First, multiple drops of the sample and conjugate need to be put into a tube. Inverted 4 to 5 times to mix the sample and conjugate together. Then the mixture needs to be poured into the sample well of the SNAP device. The technician has to stay with the test while waiting and watching for a color change before pressing the SNAP to activate the test. Then they have to wait an additional 10 minutes or so of development time for the test to work. Finally, when reading the results, a blue dot appears indicating if the sample was positive. However, the instructions say any color development in the sample spot indicates a positive result, leaving the results open for interpretation and less definitive than the witness heartworm test. Plus, since there is no negative results indicator like there is with the witness heartworm test, the technician cannot differentiate from an actual negative result and the possibility that there was some problem with the test itself or an error made in performing the steps of the test. The witness heartworm test, on the other hand, is much easier to perform and interpret. The technician need only put 1 drop of sample and 2 drops of the provided buffer solution directly into the sample well. Wait 10 minutes and read the results. If the results are negative, there will be 1 line. If positive, 2 lines will appear. So unlike IDEXX SNAP, there are fewer drops, No mixing, no pouring, no weighting, no snapping, no interpretation of any color change, and no wondering if the result indicated is truly negative or the outcome of a procedural error. The table on this slide summarizes the advantages of the Witness Heartworm test over the IDEXX Snap Heartworm RT test. This table also appears in the selling materials you will have for use with your customers to clearly sell the advantages of the Zoetis test. While both tests can use a sample of plasma, serum, or whole blood, the similarities end there. Witness Heartworm beats IDEXX Snap by requiring only 1 drop of sample, providing space on the test cartridge for the pet's name to prevent confusion, and can be stored at room temperature for the entire time up until its expiration date. In addition, Witness Heartworm requires no sample preparation or mixing, no watching for time-sensitive test snapping, and no complex interpretation of results. All this adds up to a test that is more efficient with the technician's time and provides accurate, definitive results to the veterinarian for patient management decisions in a more timely manner. In this section, we will discuss customer target types that you will likely encounter as a result of the history with the prior Enhanced Witness HW test. The customers you will encounter will likely fall into 2 common groups. The open-minded veterinary customers will be those who have a neutral or positive opinion of the prior Enhanced Witness HW test. They will likely be most interested in how the 3rd-generation Witness Heartworm test compares to the IDEXX Snap tests, or real-world data in actual clinic dogs that more closely reflect their patient population, rather than purpose-bred laboratory dogs often used in developing new tests. The skeptical veterinary customers will likely be those who either encountered problems in their clinics with the Enhanced Witness HW test or heard of others having problems with specificity. This customer will most likely be interested in understanding what modifications went into the 3rd-generation Witness Heartworm test and the comparative data to the market leader, IDEXX Snap. Reference lab standards like DiroCheck or necropsy, the gold standard for identifying infected animals. The good news is that after completing training, you will have the answers you need to address their questions and be equipped with data, including head-to-head studies to answer their questions and support confidence in the results they will get with the 3rd-generation Witness Heartworm test. In the next section, we will be reviewing that key data. In this next section, we will review the key data supporting the 3rd-generation Witness Heartworm test and why you and your customers can be confident in the results it provides them for better patient care. First, let's review the difference and importance of the 2 primary factors with respect to accuracy of a diagnostic test like Witness Heartworm. Sensitivity is the ability of a test to accurately identify a positive sample. A test with low sensitivity will miss dogs that actually have heartworm disease, causing a false negative finding. Specificity, on the other hand, is the ability of a test to accurately identify a negative sample. So it stands to reason that a test with low specificity is more likely to produce false positives than a test with a significantly higher specificity. As we discussed earlier, the Enhanced Witness HW test encountered an interfering substance present in some but not all dogs that resulted in a higher incidence of positive results than would have been expected. The results shown here for the 3rd-generation Witness Heartworm test therefore are significant for several reasons. They demonstrate high specificity, which, as we already covered, indicates a low likelihood of producing a false positive result. Consistent high specificity across 3 different sample groups and over 640 samples, which is a larger sample size than is typically used in studies. That consistent high specificity was demonstrated across a wide range of different canine populations, shelter, clinic, and purpose-bred dogs. The consistent high specificity was also demonstrated within the clinic dogs, which were from 3 different veterinary clinics in 3 different states. This data provides key support indicating the consistent specificity produced by the 3rd-generation Witness Heartworm test across multiple populations, and that the blocking agent added to the 3rd-generation test to counteract any interfering substance present in some dogs is having the desired effect. This dataset shows good correlation for both the sensitivity and specificity for the 3rd-generation Witness Heartworm test compared to DiroCheck, which is a reference laboratory standard test. It is important to note that there are a good number of total samples, 285, with a good mix of both positive and negative samples represented in this comparison between the two tests. In this analysis of those same 285 samples from shelter dogs that were confirmed by DiroCheck and comparing the third-generation witness heartworm test to the IDEXX SNAP4DX test, you can see that both point-of-care tests demonstrated similarly high correlation on both sensitivity and specificity. Necropsy is considered the gold standard for identifying infected animals. Unfortunately, this can only take place after the animal is dead, as necropsy involves the post-mortem examination of tissue for presence of infection by Dirofilaria immitis, the parasite that causes heartworm. When the sensitivity and specificity results achieved by both the third-generation witness heartworm test and the IDEXX SNAP4DX on those same 285 shelter dog samples were compared to the necropsy results from the animals from which those samples were drawn, the two point-of-care tests produced similar results. So in summary, you and your customers can be confident in the results that they will get from the third-generation witness heartworm test because it demonstrated excellent overall sensitivity and specificity, demonstrated consistent excellent specificity across a large diverse sample of canine types and clinic geographies, demonstrated comparable results head-to-head with DiroCheck and to IDEXX SNAP4DX, demonstrated comparable results to IDEXX SNAP4DX when both were compared to the gold standard for identifying infected animals, necropsy. And the results that were demonstrated with the third-generation witness heartworm test were with a large, robust sample size. The primary selling tool for your use in promoting the new third-generation witness heartworm test will be the eDetailer. This tool is a comprehensive sales aid designed to serve as a compendium of relevant information and data on the brand. In this section, we will be going over it in some depth to prepare you to successfully use it to convince your customers on the value of adopting the new witness heartworm test as their preferred point-of-care option for their clinics. From a message standpoint, the first page carries the primary positioning for the third-generation witness heartworm test. The headline is designed to clearly and confidently state up front that you are going to show your customers proof that each generation gets better. Setting the expectation, you will be sharing important new information with them and drawing in their interest in seeing that proof. The subhead clarifies the points that will make up that proof, including improved performance, increased accuracy, and that those have been demonstrated across multiple populations. This multiple populations point is a particularly important one because few, if any, competitor tests have been validated against such a wide cross-section of canine populations, including clinic dogs, shelter dogs, and purpose-bred dogs, as well as across different clinics and geographies. From a visual design standpoint for the eDetailer, overall you should note clear, consistent presentation of the product brand name always locked in the upper left corner of the page. Easy navigation throughout the eDetailer can be accomplished by use of the active navigation bar at the bottom of each page, allowing you to move between the major sections of the tool. The introduction of the new Witness family branding. Each product within the Witness family of products will have its own two-stripe swath of color. In this case, purple and orange, that will be consistent across the promotional materials for each product and eventually across the product packaging. The third-generation Witness Heartworm Test package represents the first introduction of that new packaging design, as you can see on this page. The second page carries the key message summary for all of the Witness family of products using the RIM platform: accurate, simple, and affordable. Each of these key messages is broken down into the sub-messages that more clearly define and add details to each key point. For example, simplicity can be interpreted many ways if left undefined. Therefore, we go further here, giving you the key sub-message points to call out and can use to zero in on specific advantages of the third-generation Witness Heartworm Test that may be of particular interest to the customer you are calling on. Make sure to always note that it is backed by Zoetis service and support, which is some of the best in the industry, and can be seen as a valuable resource to your customers if they have had a less than desirable support experience with competitors. All of these advantages support why the third-generation witness heartworm test is an excellent choice for point-of-care testing. The next several pages we will be covering the primary study data we reviewed in the previous section of this training module, designed for easy and clear presentation to your customers. The first page in the Studies tab should serve as the starting point of presenting data for any of your conversations with customers. The data on this page represents the overall excellent sensitivity and specificity numbers that were obtained with the third-generation witness heartworm test. These are very solid results and compare favorably to the competition and to reference tests. Over the data pages within the eDetailer, you should note several things. The headline will state the primary message we want the customer to take away and remember from each page. When data is presented, it will always carry the sample size, or N, somewhere on the page. This represents the number of samples included in the study and can be used to reinforce confidence in the results given the large sample size used to obtain these results. If you roll your cursor over an I, relevant information will pop up in a new window, usually providing a definition or clarification. If you roll over a superscript reference number, the study or study report to which it is sourced will pop up in a new window. When there are subpages of data or results, as there are in this Studies tab in the navigation bar, those page headings will reside just above the navigation bar as links, and clicking on them will take you to those specific pages with the different data as described. This design will allow you to move easily throughout the study's data when presenting to your customers. Note also that the title for the data subpage you are on is underlined, indicating your current page location for easy navigation reference. This page of the eDetailer presents the data comparing the third-generation witness heartworm test to the primary competition and market leader, the IDEXX SNAP 4DX. In this study, 285 samples were run with each of the point-of-care tests and compared to the results obtained with DiroCheck, a reference laboratory test standard for determining both sensitivity and specificity. What the data confirms is that each of the point-of-care tests produced comparable results. Witness heartworm agreed with DiroCheck on sensitivity 97.7% of the time and 99.3% of the time on specificity. IDEXX SNAP 4DX agreed with DiroCheck on sensitivity 94.7% of the time and 100% of the time on specificity. Note that there is a 95% CI, or 95% confidence interval, noted under each percentage. A confidence interval is a statistical measure calculating the likelihood or probability that the results will fall within the percentage range given, in this case, 95% of the time. The results obtained with both point-of-care tests, as well as the tight percentage range of the 95% confidence interval for each of the measurements, indicate both tests performed well, and there is a high level of confidence in the results obtained. This next set of data is a very important one to the successful positioning of the third-generation witness heartworm test. As you may recall from the Why Change section of this training module, interfering substances present in the blood of some dogs led to some clinics reporting a higher incidence of positive results with the prior generation enhanced witness HW test. As we also learned earlier, the lower the specificity, the more likely a false positive could occur. Look at the data reported here because it demonstrates excellent specificity in several ways. The overall specificity numbers when compared to DiroCheck as the reference test standard for each population set are very high at 100%, 99.7%, and 100% respectively. The 95% confidence intervals are within a tight range, indicating a high likelihood that these results are accurate. The consistent results are reported across 3 different canine populations of shelter dogs, clinic dogs, and purpose-bred dogs. There is even diversity within the clinic dog samples, as they were taken from 3 different clinics located in 3 different states. The sample size of a total of 642 samples, all showing consistent specificity across these different populations, is also impressive. This data therefore should go a long way to address any concerns skeptics may have that the third-generation witness heartworm test is indeed proof that each generation gets better and that they can have confidence in using this Zoetis point-of-care test. While DiroCheck is indeed a trusted reference laboratory standard, the true gold standard for determining infection by Dirofilaria immitis, the parasite that causes heartworm, is necropsy, the physical examination of the heart and lung tissues for the presence of the parasite. Unfortunately, this can only be done after the dog is dead. This analysis compares the sensitivity and specificity of the third-generation witness heartworm test and the IDEXX SNAP 4DX point-of-care tests in 285 samples obtained from deceased canines to necropsy examination of the heart and lung tissues from those animals. As you can see from the results reported here, the results for both point-of-care tests are comparable. While the data reported for sensitivity and specificity for the third-generation witness heartworm test and the IDEXX SNAP test are comparable, it is really in the ease and speed of obtaining those results that witness heartworm distinguishes itself from IDEXX SNAP test methodology. While either test can be performed using plasma, serum, or whole blood, the similarities end there. Witness heartworm is by far and away a more user-friendly test for those actually performing the test. Witness heartworm requires only 1 drop of the sample, provides space on the test cartridge for writing the pet's name to help prevent confusion, and can be stored at room temperature for its full shelf life, while IDEXX SNAP has none of these advantages. In addition, with the witness heartworm test, there is no required sample preparation or mixing, no time-sensitive waiting and watching before snapping to activate the test, and no complex interpretation of test results. When all of what is required to use the IDEXX SNAP test is compared to the witness heartworm test, using IDEXX SNAP can be much less efficient than using witness heartworm. This side-by-side comparison can be a very persuasive selling tool. Taking your veterinarian customers and the techs who perform the heartworm testing for the clinic through the information in this table demonstrates the logic of using witness heartworm instead of IDEXX SNAP. We already showed and discussed the multiple steps, time, and complexity required to use the IDEXX SNAP test. This next section can be used to show your customers how simple the Zoetis witness heartworm test is to perform. As noted over the next few pages of the e-detailer, performing the witness heartworm test is a simple 3-step process that starts with using the pipette that is included with each test to ensure the correct drop size of the sample. Holding the pipette vertically, step 1 is to add 1 drop of the sample to the circular sample well. Step 2 is to add 2 drops of the buffer solution provided with each test kit to the circular sample well. Step 3 is to wait just 10 minutes and the test is ready to read. It really is that simple. This page offers some tips on how to best perform the test and get the best possible results. Not only is performing the test easy, witness heartworm is also very simple to interpret. It requires no complex reading of blue dots and gives you a definitive result indicating either a negative or a positive finding. If the sample is negative, a single line will appear in window 3. If the result is positive, 2 lines will appear, 1 in window 2 and 1 in window 3. It really is that simple. Note also that we mention here that Zoetis, as always, provides free confirmatory testing if customers have questions about their results. That's a service that no one else in the industry offers. The next tab details where customers can go for additional professional support and/or information. This page gives you the opportunity to sell the support and assistance Zoetis provides to veterinarians as a differentiator from the competition and demonstrates the Zoetis commitment to the practice of veterinary medicine. This Witness Family Portfolio page provides you the opportunity to bridge from selling the Witness Heartworm test to inquiring about other Witness point-of-care tests that may represent selling opportunities with your customers. Note also that this page prominently features the attractive new Witness Family Package branding design, which is being introduced with the third-generation Witness Heartworm test and will roll out across the rest of the Witness family line of products over time. This last tab is the go-to page for information on the references for the data presented in the e-detailer, as well as some of the definitions that are accessible as pop-ups throughout the e-detailer, all collected in one place. Okay, you've now just about reached the end of this training module for the third-generation Witness Heartworm Antigen Test Kit. We've covered a lot of ground from the history and reason the third-generation test was developed. the advantages it has over the primary competition, what types of customers you might encounter based on the history, the robust nature of the data that demonstrates that each generation does indeed get better, and, most importantly, how to use the e-detailer to maximum effect in positioning and selling the advantages of Witness Heartworm to your customers. Having been through this module, you should now be able to understand why Zoetis developed the third-generation Witness Heartworm test, understand the supporting data, understand the difference and advantages over the primary competition, IDEXX SNAP, be able to successfully position and sell Witness Heartworm against IDEXX SNAP. If any of these areas are still unclear to you, go back and review all or part of this module to prepare yourself to successfully convince your customers that Witness Heartworm from Zoetis is an excellent choice for in-clinic point-of-care testing.